Welcome everybody to a sprint race here at Silverstone. It is round 8 of 12 here at the ExA Racing League. It's X3 tonight, of course, because that means it's a Tuesday, and we've got 15 drivers with us here tonight around this 5.8 kilometer long track, 14 corners, 2 DRS zones. We've got 18 minutes of qualifying, a 9-lap sprint, and then 26 laps of full racing, all with us tonight. So, very exciting night tonight. Sprint races always give us a bit more fun and a couple more points for the drivers to take home with them. So, quite a smaller lobby today, only 15 drivers of the 20 possible. And we've got the 2 Red Bulls out on track right now. So, apologies for going silent. I was just sorting something out. Currently, I'm doing RLT as well. So, the league racing tool that we use to manage all of the races, doing that as well as streaming. So, just making sure that's working because I've had about 5 minutes of experience with it before hopping into the stream today. So, we've got Zytix here in the Red Bull is going to be the first person to start a flying lap in just a moment as they're heading round. Maggots and Beckett's, a couple of other drivers out on track right now. 5 drivers out on track. And the other 10 currently sitting in the pits. So, of course, your qualifying position is going to determine where you are in the sprint race. And then where you finish in the sprint is going to determine where you finish in the big race. So it's important not to have any big drama in the sprint and knock you down all these positions, because it's going to set you up well for the actual race. As now we watch Zytix head round the first 2 corners. Got a couple of cars leaving the pits. Hopefully they're going to move out of his way as he heads through the village and loop now down the Wellington straight in just a moment. That Haas almost got in his way, but not quite. And now, tricky braking zone. Always easy to understeer past that apex. And now as he barrels down towards the old pit straight and towards Cop's corner. This is a Red Bull, so it might go flying into the wall, but he makes it round safely and towards Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel now. Trickiest sequence of corners in this track as he sets a 27.5 in the first sector, and then fastest sector 2 of a 35.1. So very strong so far in the first 2 sectors. Not the best first sector, but second sector still looking pretty strong as he heads towards Vale. Get it turned in. Lovely stuff. 2 corners to go. Exiting the final corner. He's going to cross the line to put it on provisional pole, of course. First person to go through with a 126 flat. So, very strong time, but let's have a look at his teammate now heading round the final 2 corners. Where is Bushy going to put himself on the board? It's faster by 0.2 of a second. And then crazy goes 26.2, which puts him slowest of the 3 people who have completed a lap here. So now let's have a look at Nick in the Ferrari, starting his flying lap round turn 3 here. And just getting it set up nicely to go down the Wellington straight in 1 corner's time. That flat left-hander down the straight, a couple of cars moving to the side, making sure not to impede this lap. And round a sort of hairpin corner now. Very slow, hug the inside. Now launch it down the old pit straight. See if I can have a look at his sector times here. So sector 1, 27.3. So not too bad, but not the fastest first sector as he heads round Maggots and Beckett's and through Chapel. And now onto the Hangar Straight. 35.199 is the second sector time. Ooh, bit of gravel caught there. Lucky not to lock up there. Heading into Stowe Corner and now through Vale. Final 2 corners. That's one. Final corner now. And across the line to go second fastest, or 125.9. Very strong performance there. 1/10 between Bushy and Nick in P1 and P2. Let's see if we can have a look at Spartans. Spartans invalidated their hot lap, so just on a cooldown, heading through Maggots and Beckett's. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people already DNFing from qualifying, so not the most chaotic qualifying session so far. I believe we have a couple of race and quali bans. As this is Chaz, about to cross the line, 4th fastest, 126 flat, so 0.23 off pole position in that first run. Now, one moment while I tab out. Okay. Yes, lovely, lovely. Okay, so let's see if we can spot any other drivers on a flying lap. This is Zytix on his out lap at the moment, already completed the first run, currently sitting in 3rd of the 5 people who have actually put down a lap time. So if you put down a lap time, you're going to be pretty high up on the grid, pretty empty grid so far. Charlie actually is a driver we need to look out for, who is currently on a flying lap in the Alpine. So they head down the Wellington straight now. Tricky braking zone. Lovely kiss of the apex there. Fastest sector 1, that is, by the way. 27.3. Yep, 27.3. So very strong now as they head towards Cops Corner. Shouldn't have any trouble with that because there's not a Lewis Hamilton on your inside. And now through Maggots, Beckett's, flat out round the first 2 corners. Little lift there. And a bigger lift there. Staying in 8th gear, or 6th gear, sorry, throughout that entire thing. Maybe should have downshifted a little bit, but it doesn't matter anyway because fastest sector 2 by 0.04 of a second. And then staying in pretty high gears here is Charlie. Very interesting. But now 2 corners to go. Across the line. Fastest by 0.03 of a second there for Charlie. 125.799. So fastest of the 6 people who have put down a time. However, they are currently on hot laps. So Bushy coming through Chapel now. Oh, and that is the DRS sign straight in the face. Lost it there on the exit. And that's going to be the end of their flying lappers. The Aston Martin actually goes fastest by 0.2 of a second. 25.5 there. So a very strong performance from the Aston Martin as Bushy heads into the pits. Let's take a look at his teammate. Heading through Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, we're going to see the same mistake from the other Red Bull driver. This is the Chapel Corner and keeping it on the track. Lovely stuff. Down the Hangar Straight towards, I forgot what that corner's called. Stowe. Towards Stowe Corner. Turned in absolutely nicely. Lovely stuff there. And now into Vale. A little bit of a clip of that sausage curb. And abandoning the lap just because of that little unsettlement of the car. That could have been a very strong lap for Zytix, but abandoned on the second to last corner. Mr. Bean puts down their first lap of the qualifying session, but it's a 2 minute and 1 second lap. So I believe that's just an extra warm-up lap. So we've got 8 drivers with times, 1 without, and the rest of them have all retired. So 6 drivers who have retired. So I'm not really sure what that's about. Probably a couple of quali bans. But hey ho, that gives us a couple of less people to have to keep track of. Spartans is the only person who hasn't set a time yet in the Alfa Romeo. Looking to probably start a lap around about now with 6 minutes left of quali. Exiting the final corner onto the main straight to start their flying lap. Flat out round turn 1. Eat quite a bit of that curb because it won't unsettle the car. Now braking just before 50 meters. Get it turned in. Bit squabbly there on the entrance, but he keeps going, short shifting to get the traction. Now down the Wellington straight with DRS open into a pretty heavy braking zone for a long corner, and now it's a hairpin-esque corner towards the old pit straight and Cups corner. Flat out all the way from the exit of that corner all the way to the middle of Maggots and Beckett's. Flat out around Cups. You can see the DRS detection zone is there for the race and the sprint. Flat out around those first 2. Little lift around the 3rd. Downshift around the 4th. Ooh, and that was a bit of oversteer there. Well, I say a lot of oversteer exiting Chapel. That could have been very nasty indeed. And now towards Stowe corner, another long 90-degree corner. Final few corners of the lap, locking up a little bit. So definitely not a perfect lap here from Spartans as they cross the line, slowest of the lot by 4/10. So a lot to make up here with 5 minutes left on the clock. We've only got 2 drivers currently out on a lap, one of them being Mr. Bean, and going straight into the pits there after running wide. So everybody in the pits, apart from Spartans, who's going to be heading into the pits now. He's only got 35% of that ERS left. And so very quiet qualifying here. We've only got 9 drivers with us right now for because there's a lot of bans at the moment. In fact, let me just run you through the bans in race control. So Fresh has a quali ban for reaching 10 penalty points. Pool Diver has a quali ban for reaching 10 penalty points. Dark Fade has a quali ban for reaching 15 penalty points. And Malachi has a quali ban for an incident last race in Baku. So that takes up 4 of the 6 people who aren't currently got a lap down. But the other 2, not sure why. So, Chaz, only one out on track on an out lap right now. Going to warm up the tyres for presumably a final flying lap. We've only got 3 minutes left off quali. Yep, Chaz has done 2 laps. The Aston Martin and the Alpine, currently sitting in P1 and P2, are the only people who have only done 1 lap so far in quali. And apparently the other 2 joined as late reserves, so they can't do quali. There you go. So that's why we've only got 9 people on the grid. Well, out for quali at the moment. But of course, because it is a sprint race, that could all be shaped up and changed up for the big race, because your sprint, where you finish in the sprint is going to determine where you start for the race. So all to play for in the sprint between these 15 drivers. Essentially a very, very calm qualifying. I'm enjoying it. I don't have to worry about 1,000,001 drivers going around the track and keeping up with all of the lap times. So Chaz has 0.5 of a second to make up if he wants to put it on pole position in the Mercedes. Currently sitting in 7th in front of his teammate. By 0.3 of a second. So, as you can see on the minimap, everyone starting to leave the pits now, who is still in this qualifying. So, all 9 drivers are about to be out on the track, but our attention is going to focus to Chaz, who's going to be the first person to start their final flying lap. 1 minute and 30 on the clock. So, the drivers can't go too slow. They still have to get a move on if they want to get a final flying lap done, as Chaz heads onto the pit straight here to start his final lap. And heading towards Village now, braking just before 50 meters. Get it turned in, but don't hit that massive sausage curb. Same thing for this left-hander, which is going to open it up to a left-hand kink where you open up the DRS and fly down the Wellington Straight at 200 miles an hour, where you're braking just before the 50-meter board to get it slowed down enough to go around these slow, winding sections of the track. Gets a little bit wide on the exit there, but nonetheless, fastest sector 1 for Chaz by a 10th. Now, round Copse Corner towards Maggots and Beckett's. Very tricky section of the track here. Going to take a bit of curb on that right-hander, and then a dab of the brakes to exit at Chapel. Almost runs wide, but get it turned back onto the track. Now the DRS is open to head down the hanger straight. Fastest sector 2 by 0.05 of a second. Get it turned in using a bit too much curb there. Turning in a little bit much, but it's going to be okay. He's got the fastest first 2 sectors. Very strong lap so far. Final 2 corners. Here we go. And it's going to be across the line. Second fastest for Chaz, 1:25.6. So let's have a look at some other drivers here. Charlie has been bumped down to 3rd by Chaz. And there's a couple of other drivers in front and behind them, all on a flying lap. Charlie heading around these tricky sections of the track using, I believe, full traction control. You can see there the engine and the game just limiting the traction there. But let's have a quick look at Zytix, who was the first person out on the track and now has set the fastest sector 2 with, well, by a 10th it looks like. So now we've had 3 people who have set times: Mr. Bean, Chaz, and Nick. So Nick bumps Charlie down once again. The Aston Martin still holding down pole position, but what can Zytix do? He can put it on provisional pole by a 10th of a second, 0.08 of a second even, by the Red Bull. So very strong performance there, but let's see what Charlie can do. Charlie has invalidated the lap, so no improvement there for Charlie. And now Bushy, what is Bushy going to be able to do as he crosses the line? Knocks Charlie down by another place. So that is qualifying over. It's Zytix on pole, followed by Frozy in the Aston Martin in 2nd, Chaz in 3rd, Nick in 4th, Bushy in 5th, Charlie 6th, Spartan 7th, Crazy 8th, Mr. Bean 9th, and the rest of the drivers did not complete a lap. So Charlie there invalidated, so they didn't manage to get their final lap down. Pushing a little bit too hard maybe, and wasn't able to make anything of it. So So now we've got 9 laps of short racing round Silverstone before we get on to the big race, of course. Any incidents? No, not really. So now it is sprinting time. So the cool thing about this telemetry that I've got now for the RLT, the Racing League tools, which basically means is basically what we use to manage the races. I can see how much tire percentage people have on obviously on their tires throughout the race. So gives us a bit more insight on the performance of the drivers. Although if any of the drivers is listening on the stream, maybe some unfair advantages, but I'm going to presume they're not, because that would be quite a distraction from actually racing. So, drivers just loading in and going to be choosing the setups, and then we'll be heading out on track for a sprint race. With the Red Bull starting on pole position, followed by an Aston Martin, and then Mercedes. So just waiting for everyone to load in, and now they have, and now the lights are about to go out as all 5 of them light up. And the sprint is underway, and the front row get a pretty good start as they all fall into formation round the first corner, and Zytix leads them round the first few corners. Frosty trying to go round the outside, under braking down the inside here. Frosty takes the lead of the race as they're wheel to wheel now, going round towards the Wellington Straight. Frosty's still on the outside and manages to get ahead of Zytix. And now it is Aston Martin in the lead, followed by the 2 Red Bulls. But now Zytix trying to get ahead. And now we've got the slower corners of the racetrack. Fresh currently lagging behind the rest of the packers. There's a lot of movement going round. Charlie in a battle right now with Spartans, with Mr. Bean very close behind Nick as well. But let's bring our attention back towards the lead of this race. Zytix hunting down that Aston Martin through Maggots and Beckett's. He hasn't got long to do it, so it is full maximum attack here in this sprint race. Let's have a look at the tires real quick. So, Frozy actually on the soft with Bushy on the soft as well, as Zytix loses a place to his teammate, who is on the mediums. Then Chaz is on the mediums, Spartan's on the mediums, and Charlie on the mediums, and then everyone else on the soft tire. So there you go. So we've got mainly soft runners here, and Frozy leads us through lap 1, but Bushy very close down the inside, out-braking his opponent and into the lead of the race through Village and the loop, heading towards the Wellington Straight now. But it looks like Frozy got a better exit out of Village and is now right on the tail of Bushy here as they head into the next braking zone. Bushy, of course, setting the fastest. Sector 1 there. And now 0.19 seconds separates this top 2 with Zytix. And everyone else a bit more separated. Our top our P3, 4, and 5 are all separated. And P6, actually, all separated by over half a second or near half a second. But that gap is slowly closing down as people are using the ERS more and more. It's a sprint race. So, of course, you don't have to conserve the tires. You don't have to conserve the battery as much as you'd need to in a 26-lap race. As now Frozy closing down on Bushy down the Hanger Straight. DRS will be enabled next lap, which means it can be used twice in this race as Bushy spins out, going through Stowe corner, spins out of the lead, down into 14th position, handing Frozy the lead of the race, and Zytix is now hot on his tail. 0.3 separate them. DRS enabled, and the more this race goes on, the more that those medium tires start to come alive. So it's all about how much can that Aston Martin defend from Zytix. DRS enabled, which means that Zytix is going to have it down this straight here. A big DRS train all the way to P13 here. So Zytix even closer than he was before towards that leader. Closely followed behind by Chaz and Charlie, who are in a battle of their own as we head towards Copse Corner. Doesn't end horribly that time. It is, of course, 2024. Times have changed. People know not to stick a wheel down the inside as now we head towards Maggots and Beckett's. Of course, I'm only joking about when I make these F1 references. I don't really care for the beef, but now the hanger straight, Zytix with DRS, using a little bit of battery to get closer and closer and closer, switches to the inside as we head towards Stowe. He's ahead as we head towards the apex, but Frozy actually manages to hang around the outside and now has the inside line for Vale. But Zytix has the inside line for the final two corners, but Frozy's got a better exit here to start the fourth lap of this race, almost halfway, and Frozy manages to stay ahead. Well defended against the Red Bull there. Spartans losing out on positions as he goes wide. Sorry, that's Nick going wide onto the grass. Rejoining unsafely almost gives Mr. Bean a tap in the rear end. And now that's Alexis also in a fight with Pool Diver. So lots of scrapping going on in the middle of the pack with Alexis. Now got DRS and part of this long DRS train. Alexis on the soft tire. And Pool Diver is actually on the medium in front of them. And so we're about to head through Copse Corner and we'll have a look and rejoin back with our leaders as that's Charlie going wide round Copse Corner. And now into Maggots and Beckett's. Of course, these first two corners are flat out in qualifying, but not with the fuel and the tyre wear from the race. But look how close Zytix is to Frozy as they head down the hanger straight. It's not going to be enough. Is it going to be enough? No, heading into Stowe, and Zytix can't get ahead of Frozy. It looks like he had an absolutely mega exit compared to our race leader, but it wasn't enough. He's managed to get ahead into that next braking zone, but he's got 4 more laps to do it as we start lap 5 of 9 of this sprint race. It's Aston Martin, Red Bull, Alpine make up the top 3 so far. Now Zytix needs to get a good exit out of these next few corners if he wants to capitalize as much as possible from this DRS zone, but he gets held up, and there goes Frozy oversteering towards the Wellington Straight out of that corner, and now has lost first and is now down into P4. So that's 2 race leaders we've had so far, 1 Red Bull and 1 Aston Martin, who have span out of the lead of the race in this sprint. Bushy, who was previously leading, now down in 15th. Frozy, not too bad, in 14th because his car wasn't completely backwards on the track, but now Charlie is the person to start attacking this lead. They're going to have DRS, but they need to get a good launch out of Chapel. And that traction control holding them down a little bit. As another Aston Martin gets a 10-second penalty. That's the person running in last and a long way away. So that 10-second penalty isn't really going to mean much. We can see how much the traction control there is limiting Charlie from really getting speed and exit out of the corners. Final 2 corners of this lap, and starting lap 6 of 9. Let's head towards the midfield now with Nick chasing down Spartans. Spartans currently sitting in 5th. Nick right behind him in 6th as they head towards Village. Also, something else to note for is Frosty is desperately hungry to get himself back on the podium. Chaz is taking up the final podium spot, but he's only 0.2 seconds away from Chaz, who's 0.2 seconds away from Charlie. So DRS train once again here for our top 12 drivers, all of them with the DRS. Heading into Luffield now, and no moves made, of course, because everyone has DRS. You gain no real advantage on the car in front of you if they also have DRS. And now Zytek's starting to pull away a little bit from Charlie. Those medium tyres coming into effect. Of course, Charlie on the softs with 33% of usage on those, but Zytek's on the medium going to have less wear. And there goes, what? Who was that? Going off the track. Is that Dark Fade falling all the way down the order? We've got a couple of people falling all the way down the order. Everyone looking rather wiggly. Not sure if that's a connection issue right now. And it looks like, yeah. We've just had a big internet moment. Has our host's internet stopped working? Let me check the chat. What has just happened? So the lobby just disappeared there. Not too sure what happened there, but hey ho. So maybe our host's connection. Who's hosting this? Let me have a look. So Charlie's hosting this, and his Discord's currently showing on mobile, so maybe something bad happened. So yeah, we've got a red flag, of course. No, I meant Chaz, not Charlie, sorry. You've both got the same name, obviously, but one of you is a mod and one isn't. So yeah, I think Chaz's internet left the chat. Because it was him who we saw go flying into the wall there, and there was a lot of confusion and a lot of lag. And then a couple of seconds later, the lobby just died. So I presume we're going to get a sprint restart. But a couple of people wanting the race to us just to go to the big race, and that be the results from lap 6, and just go from what we had from lap 6 into the race. So we're just going to get everything sorted out and then we'll be underway. But not too sure what is actually going to happen. Because it's a bit of a predicament. I'll let you know what the mods say. So let's have a look. Not really getting any info. Someone's saying no sprint, so I think we're just going to go from the... Oops. Is this... Okay, yeah, no longer exists. Okay, so I think we're just going to start from what we had at the end of the sprint before it disconnected for the starting grid of the main race. You're doing more divisions with commentator because it's so good. I've been doing the same amount of divisions that I have since I started. X3 and X1. So yeah, it looks like we're going straight into the 26 lap race, with the starting grid being Zytix, Charlie, Chaz, Frozzy, Spartans, Pool Diver, Nick, Malachi, Mr. Bean, Dark Fade, Crazy, Fresh. Who the hell is Cumboy? And then Bush, Alex, and Ziocto. Why not X2, X4, and X5? Because believe it or not, on other days other than a Tuesday and a Wednesday, I have other things to be doing from 6:30 till 9, which is, or 6:30 till 8:30, which is usually how long it takes to commentate. Like work and friends and family and girlfriend and sleep. So that's why I don't commentate every division. Also, we have other commentators. So it's also important to let them commentate, because we don't do it because it's a job. We do it because it's fun. But you're the best one. That's your opinion. That's fine. That's okay. I don't mind being the best. I mean, maybe that's why I commentate X1, right? But you know, there's other people who want to commentate, which is why Rowley and the head commentators give them the opportunity to commentate. I wouldn't, even if I could, I wouldn't want to commentate every single race at 5 days a week, even if I got paid for it, because it wouldn't be fair on everyone else. And also it's like 4 out of those 5 times it would be the same track. Christ, that'd be awful. Especially if it was like last week in Baku in this division. God, that race was terrible. I imagine that 4 safety cars for 4 days of the week. 4 times a week. God, I'd cry. I mean, I almost was in tears when I commentated Baku for X3. You're going to buy F124? Maybe. Don't know. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to buy F124 if the only thing I'm going to use it for is commentating. Because I don't play F123 anymore. Like, I play ACC. And I'm not going to get F124 if it's just for commentating. Because as fun as this is, it's £60. Only €85 instead of 100. Yeah, that's like £60. 60 great British pounds. Let's do some mathematics. €85 to GBP. £72. Not happening. I already spent like 35 quid yesterday buying all the ACC DLCs. Plus I'm buying like a whole new sim rig. Plus I have rent to pay as well. That's pretty important. We can play ACC together sometimes then. Yeah, sure. I don't have any mates who play racing sims, so I'm just looking for people to hang out and race with, so that's cool. Hello, TTV Leo. How are you? I am well. How are you? So we're just getting ready, getting all the drivers in, getting the starting grid and the settings in order for the 26 lap race. And then it will be lights out and away we go. Hopefully, it won't be it's lights out and away the internet goes. We've got the green flag in the X3 chat, which means we are going to be ready to go in just a moment. You can see the countdown there. Actually, can you see it? The overlay might be hiding it. Starting in a couple of seconds. You're okay? I'm glad you are well. Welcome to the X3 stream. So, 26 laps is going to be upon us around this Silverstone circuit. One of my favorite circuits and one of the most notorious circuits in the world. 5.8 kilometers of great racing per lap is going to be upon us in just a moment. Da 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 da. Bum 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 ba ba da ba da ba da da dun dun da da dun. Do you know how crazy how mentally insane I get when I have to listen to this F1 theme over and over again while I wait for everyone to join the lobby and it's already 7 o'clock and I've already started the stream. And this is the intro music I use, obviously. Ba 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 da ba da ba dun da da da. So, we have loaded in to the Silverstone lobby, which means we're about to get racing in just a minute. All the drivers loading up their setups, getting the tyre strategies, and just in general loading into the lobby. Then it's 26 laps, hopefully with no issues. And it's Zytix starting on pole because we're starting this race from the grid order of the sprint race. Which means Charlie is also on the front row in P2. Here we go then. The lights illuminate above the drivers. And now they go out and the Silverstone Grand Prix is underway and Zytix gets a pretty good start. Charlie, terrible start there, falling all the way down the order. What's going on there? Not too sure, but let's rejoin with the leaders. Zytix leads from Chaz and Nick, and that is a car sideways. That is Alexis sideways near Village, and that's not a good start for Charlie or Alexis here at the beginning of this Silverstone Grand Prix as the Red Bull leading them down the Wellington Straight here. You can see the possible tyre strategies on your screen right now. Most people opting for the hard tyre with two medium tyre runners. That is the Williams and the Haas. That is Pull Diver and Dark Fade, both on the medium tyres. Everyone else choosing for the hard tyres here. And I wish we could have seen what happened there. It was a bit of a spin-off between Alexis ended up sideways on the track. Luckily, that car going invisible, and Charlie saying they couldn't get into the game, so that's why they've fallen all the way from 2nd into 13th, and the car is actually invisible, so it's just the AI driving at the moment. So unfortunate EA issues here for a couple of drivers, well, mainly Charlie. Zytix is leading this first lap comfortably by half of a second. So let's have a look at the back. Yeah, that is Charlie just getting overtaken, and Frozy all the way back, just heading around Stowe Corner now as everyone else is heading around to start lap 2. So not a good start for the Aston Martin either, who was on pole, I believe. No, he wasn't. He was on the front row of the grid for the sprint race. Unfortunately, things haven't gone well for him so far. This is crazy. In the McLaren, currently sitting in 5th. A lot of drivers around him. Heads down the Wellington Straight, chasing down Mr. Bean. And we've got a couple of bits of movement here. That's Dark Fade down the inside of Alex there. Very strong move. And now around the slower corners of the track and exiting onto the old pit straight. Dark Fade made up a place. He's actually made up 3 places so far since we started this race, but using a lot of ERS on the medium tires. So he's got that tire advantage, and he's going to want to use as much of that tire as he can to make his way through the pack. Now chasing down Bushy. So Dark Fade only with 20% of his ERS left. With Bushy quite a bit less as well. That's crazy span round on the track. Exit in Stowe Corner. We saw that happen in the sprint race with our leader. Bushy was the leader when that happened, but crazy. Same thing happened there, and that is another collision. Mr. Bean and Fresh round the final 2 corners. Big contact there. Big contact there. Both of them losing out a lot. And now let's rejoin as Dark Fade has actually taken up P4 from Bushy into the first few corners. It's still Zytix in the lead, followed by Chaz and Nick. But DRS enabled. Dark Fade doesn't have DRS, which is going to bring Bushy a lot closer as they head into Sector 2 now. And Bushy using a lot of battery to try and get even closer to Dark Fade. 0.1 seconds separates them. Dark Fade isn't going to have the assistance of Nick's DRS after Maggots and Beckett's down the hanger straight now. So this is all for position, and this is going to be a pretty good fight as we head down the hanger straight towards Stowe Corner. Bushy has DRS, going to switch to the inside now. Roundstow gets ahead before the braking zone. Lovely stuff. And that secured him 4th place back from Dark Fade. Apparently Charlie needs an invite. If there's any moderators or someone not in the race is able to do that, that would be great. And Bushy had a terrible exit onto the main straight, which has put Dark Fade right behind him as they head round the first corner. And that is the Alfa Romeo sitting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:29.804. Down in 8th place behind the 2 Williams. But look at this. The 2 Williams actually fighting there. And the Alfa Romeo getting the best of it. So let's rejoin with the lead, because the lead has dissipated. The gap in the lead has dissipated to 0.2 of a second now. Chaz closing down on Zytix very well. I believe Chaz won the Canadian Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. It was definitely a Mercedes, but I don't remember if it was Chaz. Anyhow, I believe it was. Currently chasing down Zytix for P1 as they head round Maggots and Beckett's. Chaz needs a good exit if he wants to use this DRS to its full effectiveness and get past Zytix. And Zytix needs a good exit to hold off this DRS. And it's inbound. The Mercedes is inbound. Switches to the inside. Gets ahead at the apex of Stowe Corner. And that is Looking good for Chaz, taking the lead of the race. Zytek's trying to stick it around the inside into Vale. He's not going to be able to make it stick. He's going to fall off and follow Chaz and concede that lead. But now Nick joining the party for these podium spots. The top three all separated by 0.3 of a second. And Zytek's looking to go down the inside into Village. It's not going to happen. He's not far enough. He's not close enough to Chaz. And it compromises exit a little bit. But look how much battery Zytek's has. Chaz has quite a lot as well, but Zytek's pretty much on full battery. So he knows it's the long game, but he's going to go down the inside into left field. Chaz going to hang around the outside and gets a brilliant traction around the outside there. That looks like it was going to be another position swap for the lead, but Chaz managed just to hold on around that long left-hander and keep onto the lead as they head down the old pit straight. The top three still only separated by 0.3 of a second. Round Copse Corner now. And Mercedes and Red Bull going around Copse Corner. It always makes me hold my breath a little bit. There could be an incident, but everyone was clear going around that corner. And Maggots and Beckett's on to the hanger straight. Zytek's with DRS looking to go down the outside and makes that move work with the DRS. Gets ahead of the braking zone and moves himself up into first as he heads down towards Vale. Nick has a great view of this action, of this fighting for the lead, and he's going to be just going to let them fight. So when it comes to it, he's going to have the tires to be able to perform an undercut or a very easy overtake when they're losing tire life. Chaz on 21% of his hard tires, 21% usage. Can't see everyone's percentage. But, so Chaz currently sitting at 21%. For reference, Alexis 21% on their hards. And Spartans on 22% on their hard tires. So that gives you a bit of an idea on how much wear people are going to have on their tires. I can't tell you how much Nick has, because the telemetry won't allow me. But Nick's starting to fall off a little bit from this top two. The gap now 0.5 between himself and Chaz as they head round Copse Corner. Nick is clear from any threats behind. Sorry, that was me on my brake pedal. I forgot it did that. And now Chaz 0.6 from Zytek's and Nick 0.5 from Chaz. So no overtake moves available down the hanger straight, just too far back, but you gain so much speed there with the DRS. The gap closes down by 0.2 of a second down that very long straight, and now into Vale. Zytek's takes a bit of curve on the entrance, and Chaz takes a bit of curve on the exit. And what has happened here? Zytek's runs very wide and has conceded the lead of the race to Chaz. What happened there? He just went super wide in the second to last corner and is now under heavy pressure from the Ferrari, but more importantly, lost the lead of the race. Not sure why, but it happened. And now Nick, well, you could see before in the braking zones, literally had his rear wing on the exhaust pipe of that Red Bull, so very, very close to him. There's both of them with DRS now. They head round left field, all the cars closely followed behind. Pull Diver has managed to make up from the 2-second gap and now get into DRS range of Nick. So the DRS train all the way from P1 to P14, the only person who, sorry, all the way from P1 to P12. So everyone within a second of each other. No, I've lied to you once again. P1 to P9 is where the DRS train is. Third time's the charm on getting that statistic right. Zytek's hunting down Chaz down the hanger straight, but is going to be under pressure from Nick as well, who has DRS. So the advantage isn't going to be too detrimental between the two because, of course, both of them have DRS. So the advantage is the same, but it's not for Chaz. He's the one under real threat against this DRS here. It's lap 7 of 26, and we can actually see the Williams and the Red Bull fighting a little bit round the final corners. And there's a yellow flag there. That is crazy, losing out positions there. Let's have a look at what's going on there. Not too sure. Is there wing damage? I don't know, but let's rejoin this fight for 6th place here. As Bushy's down the inside of the Williams. A little bit of a slide on the exit for Alex. And now they've both got DRS down the Wellington Straight. So it's even playing. And now Alex switches to the inside. Is Bushy going to be able to hold on around the outside? Yes, he can. Now he has the inside line for this slow hairpin and manages to get ahead as they head towards the old pit straight. And Bushy gets a better exit. And Alex cannot take the place off the Red Bull. But now they're heading towards Cop's corner. And Alex is very, very close indeed to Bushy there as they head to Maggots and Beckett. So we're going to have to keep an eye out on the gap out in front. Because it is very, very close as all of the drivers heading around Maggots and Beckett's this front pack of the top 9. Now top 2 separated by 0.7 of a second. Look how close Zytix is to Chaz as they head round Stowe corner towards Vale now. And everybody falling in line around these tight corners and onto the pit straight. There's our top 4 you can see there. Pull Diver closely followed behind for this fight for the lead. He wasn't there a couple of laps ago. He managed to close down the gap quite well. And it's, oh, that is a bit of contact there. Outbraking himself and back into the back of Nick. Almost a big incident there. Luckily, Nick managed to keep it under control. But saying that, there's a bit of a slide. And now Pull Diver has managed to take advantage of that. Not too sure if that slide after was Pull Diver's fault. But Nick loses out in the Ferrari. Drops down to 4th out of the podium positions. So, lap 9.5 now of 26 here at Silverstone in England. Near Kent. I hate Kent. Anyway. Zytix still chasing down Chaz, who has been in the lead for a couple of laps in this race. 36% on tyre wear on Chaz's tyres. And now Zytix takes the lead of the race just before Stowe corner with the DRS. Before the braking zone, easily secures back the lead of the race. So trading of the DRS overtakes hasn't been lap for lap like we've seen previously. But the trades are still happening. And Charles was actually a second slower than Zytix in that previous lap. So that gives you a bit of insight on how Zytix managed to take the lead of the race again from the Mercedes driver. But let's rejoin to a bit of a closer fight. Alexis short shifting through the Wellington Straight here. Big DRS train, of course, so unless someone makes a critical mistake, not much is going to be able to be done apart from these two here, the Haas and the Red Bull for P5 and P6. Once again, fighting for their lives. We've seen a lot in these slow corners of these two fighting a lot. So Dark Fade, not a lot of ERS, 14%, but I say that, Bushy has 2. It's practically empty, and he's still trying to use it to get ahead into Maggots and Beckett's. Dark Fade is going to have DRS. And I think it might be game over for Bushy down the Hangar Straight. With the DRS of the Haas. Here we go. It opens up. Bushy 2 seconds away from Nick, so he's not going to be able to get the benefits of it. He might even lose out from Alex here. But you see Dark Fade there just lifting, not wanting to take the place just yet. Maybe that's because he knows there's also pressure there from the Williams driver right behind him. And Pull Diver in 3rd is very, very close to Chaz. So a lot of battles here we're having to keep up with, and all of them very, very entertaining. But we're looking at the lead of the race right now. And our top 3, it's Red Bull, Mercedes, Williams. So 3 dominant constructors from 3 different eras all fighting for the 3 spots on the podium here. And Pull Diver is very, very close to Chaz, who is even closer to Zytix there going around the final few corners. The gap went down to 0.1 for just a second. So let's have a look now. They're going down the old pit straight towards Copse Corner. Everyone lifting just a little bit as those tyres are starting to go, and we're going to see some pit stops happen in a couple of laps time. The pit window going to open very soon. It's all about who's got the pace in them to have a faster lap, a faster in lap, faster out lap to get the overcut or the undercut done. And look how close Chaz is getting to Zytix as they head into still. Zytix goes wide, and Chaz says, "Thank you very much. I'll have that." And that's Pool Diver heading to the pits very early there. You can see straight into the pit lane there for Pool Diver. So the first of the pit stops as Zytix conceded the lead from Chaz. Not sure what happened there, but he went wide into Stowe, which opened the door for our current race leader now. So Nick bumps himself up into third place. With Pool Diver not exited the pits yet. The pit lane for Silverstone is incredibly long. You can see it on the mini-map, but the pit lane speed limiter actually starts pretty much as soon as you enter the pit lane. Not like a lot of tracks where there is the pit lane speed limiter is sort of, you know, where the crew would be, because that's the point of a pit lane speed limiter, to have the safety of the drivers. Here's Alex, and that is what I expected to happen round Copse Corner. Alex and Darkfade. Alex trying to go down the inside, and that is a Hamilton and Verstappen if I've ever seen it. Not quite the same. Person on the inside came out worse there. And Alex dropped down to 10th there, trying to make the move down the inside of Copse Corner. And it has cost him a lot of positions, down into 10th now. Let's rejoin the lead of the race as Bushy is pitting. And so does Darkfade, actually. So that's 3 drivers total who have pitted so far. But now we're looking at Zytix chasing down Chaz for the lead of the race. These two have been battling it out since lap 1, of course. Charlie actually started on the front row of the grid, but it's down in last, 30 seconds behind, because they couldn't actually join the lobby. So these two don't want to stay out for too long battling, because there could be a heavy undercut from Pool Diver and maybe even Bushy. Bushy, big ask, but Pool Diver pitted earlier than these two. And by the way, Bushy moved on to the medium tyres. Pool Diver moved on to the hard tyres. So actually, yeah, that's right. Pool Diver had mediums on, I'm pretty sure. So it makes sense for him to be pitting a bit earlier. But these two drivers are going to move on to the medium, so they're going to be able to hunt down Pool Diver if he does get a decent undercut on these two. Mr. Bean getting another 3-second time penalty there. Let's have a look at the penalties. Really quickly. That's not it. Penalties, yeah. So Mr. Bean with 9 seconds and the Alfa Romeo with 3. That is Alex in the Williams getting 5. Speeding in the pit lane. So there you go. Now you can look at the tyres. Only 2 people on the mediums, Charlie and Bushy. And now Zytix is under heavy pressure from Nick. 0.6 separating them. Pool Diver with the fastest lap of the race. 1:28.4. And are we going to see any pit stops this lap from our top 3? The more they stay out, the more Pool Diver gains an advantage. But also, the better they're going to be able to push the next set of tyres that they put on. So top 3 separated by 1.1 seconds here. Zytix and Nick still within DRS range of each other. And a couple of position changes in the back through Maggot and Beckett's actually there. That's Alexis making up a position. Oh, there is lag there. What is going on? Looked like Alexis just flew off the track. Anyhow, are we seeing any pit stoppers? Chaz does not pit. Zytix doesn't pit. Nick does head into the pits now. Locking up, careful not to be speeding. You can see 36 miles an hour all the way around here, and the pit lane hasn't even really started. So that's how long this pit lane is. So you'll lose a lot of time in the pits on this track. But let's have a look at the two Ferraris, both of them actually in the pits. Well, Fresh, not in the pits, sorry. Fresh out in 6th, Nick in the pits. And everyone's starting to separate a bit more since these pit stops have started to happen. We've gone from a big DRS train to a couple of groups of people. But now it's Fresh chasing down Spartans for that P5 and P6 position. We've seen a lot of drivers fighting for these positions, and they've all been very good races, very good fights indeed. So our leaders are just heading around Cops Corner now. Let's have a look at Crazy chasing down Pool Diver. So Pool Diver, first person to pit from P3. Currently out in 7th with 3 laps on his tyres. So he's got a 3-lap advantage so far when it comes to tyres between our top 2. And is that Chaz I see in the pits? Yes, so Chaz deciding to pit. Zytix still going even longer on these hard tyres. So where is Chaz going to come out compared to Pool Diver, who is just heading round Stowe Corner now and into Vale? And Chaz is still in the pit lane. Of course, you rejoin at the exit of turn 2 in the pit lane, but that is Pool Diver getting past Chaz with the undercut on the hard tyres. But Chaz is going to be on the mediums, I believe. Yes, Chaz on fresh mediums. So he's going to have a lot more pace than everyone else on the hards out in front of him, including Dark Fade, who is right ahead. And Chaz has DRS to keep up with these two. Fighting for position, Dark Fade and Bushy. Dark Fade has a time penalty, but still chasing down Bushy for P6. 3 seconds ahead of them is Pool Diver, who's the first of the pit stoppers. And when are we going to see Zytix head into the pits? That is the question. Is it going to be now? Yes, it is. So Zytix into the pits now. Doesn't get caught speeding. That's very good for him. No time penalties. So that is Fresh heading into the pits as well. So Pool Diver is going to take the lead of this race as he heads round Stowe Corner. Zytix previously leading in the pit lane now. So it's all about the gap between Zytix and Chaz. Chaz currently at 8th. And let's have a look. Spartans takes the lead of the race, closely followed behind Pool Diver. Chaz, does he get in front of Zytix? Yes, he does. And so does Nick, actually, who was in P3 and pitted a little bit earlier than Chaz. So Alex sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:27.815. Look at that. That's 3 wide, almost into left field. And that is Chaz trying to go down the inside out, braked himself, and now is backwards on the track. Zytix gets past him. That's not good for Chaz and his chances at winning today. Thank you very much. That was a great joke. So Zytix has managed to get past Chaz a lot easier than he would have thought. And they were almost going 3 wide there into left field, and it ended about as well as I would have expected. So Spartans is yet to pit, currently leading the race. On lap 17 of 26 now. Lap 18 of 26 now. Spartans has 17 laps on those hard tyres. Pool diver. First person to head into the pits. Currently sitting in P2. So now, Zytix has a couple of places to make up if he wants to get back to the lead of this race on the medium tyres. And on the medium tyres in front of him is Nick. 3 seconds separates them, and Nick is chasing down Darkfade, who is on the hard tyres. With a time penalty, though. But he's also got DRS. In fact, so does Darkfade on Bushy here, who's currently sitting in third. So, as they head around the slower corners of Sector 2 towards the old pit straight, who is going to come out on top through Maggots and Beckett's Darkfade. Very, very close to Bushy as they head round Cops, but you can see how much closer Nick is. You've got a better exit through Cops. So now, Maggots and Beckett's, it's all about who gets the better drive here. And with the DRS, Bushy is going to come under heavy threat here from Darkfade, who goes to the inside. And look at that. Nick is right behind her. They're going to go 3 wide into Stowe almost, but there's contact between Darkfade and Bushy, and Nick gets the better of it and takes 2 places in one corner. But here comes Darkfade down the inside through Vale now. And that was almost a through goes Hamilton moment, actually. In fact, it was a through goes Hamilton moment for Nick round Stowe corner as they start lap 19. These 3 drivers all very, very close together. Look how Bushy is desperate to get back these places. Weaving all over the road, trying to find a little bit of a gap as his teammate Zytix has now joined the party. These 4 cars all fighting for position here, and this time it's Nick's turn to be under heavy pressure here from Darkfade, who goes down the inside and makes it work. And Bushy under pressure from his teammate Zytix, and is also trying to go round the outside of Nick here. Is he going to make it stick? Not quite. And now Bushy, with that poor exit, is going to be under threat from Zytix. But I don't think that's his main problem now as we head towards Cop's corner. Red Bull and Ferrari. Red Bull managed to go around the outside, and Bushy makes up a place, and so does Zytix. In fact here, Nick losing out massively. 3 places there. But now, as they head through Cop's corner, another DRS zone. Zytix has the better exit on his teammate here, and Darkfade going to be under heavy pressure. Bushy down the inside into Stowe. Zytix looking to have a look as well on the Haas. And Nick has a brilliant view from this fight between the 2 Red Bulls and the Haas driver. Oh, and that is Darkfade spinning out. He clipped a curb, and that is him out of this big fight here for the final spot on the podium. And that was very entertaining. That was a very entertaining fight there for about a lap and a half. We went wheel to wheel around Cops. Everyone fighting through Stowe, but now it's starting to die down as both Red Bulls are going to be fighting now. Zytix round the outside before the braking zone, and back into third place now, has 4.7 seconds to chase down of Pool Diver and Spartans. Has Spartans already pitted? He's going very, very, very long on these hard tyres. In fact, he hasn't pitted yet, so he does need to head into the pits. With only 6 laps left. Is he planning to go onto the softs here after the hards? If so, he's going to want to pit pretty soon. That is a yellow flag there. That is Darkfade in the Haas. Round Maggots and Beckett's. Yeah, there we go. Spartans heading into the pits now, so concedes the lead of the race from Pool Diver heading through Vale. And is going to take the lead of this race. So 3.8 seconds between Zytix and Pool Diver. 3.8 seconds between the two Red Bulls and the Williams. So how much can these Red Bulls hunt down Pool Diver on the fresher medium tires? Pool Diver already at 40% usage on those hard tires with 5 laps remaining. It's all about how quickly Zytix manages to catch back up to Pool Diver. And Nick is just keeping behind. He's also in contention for a podium spot. And was even in contention for the win before the pit stops. But in the second stint, not as much pace as Zytix. Let's have a look at their previous laps. So yeah, that's Zytix 1 second faster in the previous lap than Nick, and Bushy a second slower than, well, 3/10 slower, sorry, not a second, 3/10 slower than Nick on the previous lap as well, and Nick has the DRS to get really, really close to Bushy. Having a look down the inside of Vale, but it's not going to happen. Locking the rears just a little bit. Those medium tires not going to be happy, but look at the gap and how it's closed. Zytix now has Pool Diver in his sights as they head round the first 2 corners, and Pool Diver is going to be looking at the timesheets at the real time and seeing how that gap is closing, and closing. Half a second faster was the Red Bull compared to the Williams on the previous lap. So by that calculation, he's going to need about 4 laps to get past Pool Diver, and that is exactly how long there is left in this race. So we've had no safety cars and no red flags and no virtual safety cars so far this race. Just pure racing action. Let's have a look at the sector times. Actually, it looks like Pool Diver pretty equal in the first sector compared to Zytix, but this is where all of that speed is going to... all of that time is going to come at a loss because Zytix has the fresher tyres around Maggots and Beckers. But would you look at this? Pool Diver actually has DRS on Dark Fade, who is a lapped car. So that's given Pool Diver a great helping hand here to get that just a little bit further ahead of the Red Bull. But for the final podium spot, Bushy and Nick. Red Bull and Ferrari, as look at that. Bushy getting awfully close to Nick round the final 2 corners. And what has just happened there? We just saw a car go flying into the... Very interesting. Anyhow, Pool Diver, 2.3 seconds between himself and the Red Bull. 3 laps remaining. And you got to think, how much pace has that Williams driver got? He's got 47% usage on his tires. And Nick very, very close to Bushy here as they head round Sector 2. Dark Fade gets disqualified for too many penalties. Pretty sure he'd already given up at that point, but hey-ho. And the gap, by the way, between the top 2 has now gone down to 1.7 seconds as they're heading round Copse Corner. We're going to see that gap start to diminish even more around Copse because Zytix has the faster, fresher tyres. And Nick has DRS on Zytix's teammate, who's currently sitting in 3rd. There's now 0.2 away from Bushy. As they head into Vale, Nick once again locking up the brakes into that heavy braking zone. Gap now between P1 and P2, 1.4 seconds. 2 laps remain here at this British Grand Prix, which means, does Zytix have it in him to gain 0.4 of a second realistically in the next half a lap for him to be able to get DRS down the Hanger Straight so he can get even closer to Zytix, with the gap actually starting to pull out between the 2 of them as we're riding on board with Nick, who is starting to pull out a bit of time from the other Red Bull, They head around Love Field now. And Nick 0.5 away from a podium position. Zytix 1.4 away from a win. Pool Diver was the first to pit and is now on the hard tyres. Really has everything to lose here with that first place. 53% wear on his hard tyres here. He's got 22% of his ERS left. So he's not going to have much battery to defend from Zytix, who has almost no battery left to be able to launch an attack outside of the DRS zones here. He's using all of his battery to get as close as possible to Pool Diver. And I believe that is Chaz who is in front of both of them. So I don't think Chaz is going to be giving Pool Diver DRS. No, absolutely not. But look how close Zytix is to Pool Diver as we head down the Wellington Straight. He's not going to have DRS, but he's getting awfully close. 1.2 seconds between them. Let's have a look at the fight for P3 as well. On this second to last lap, Nick has DRS to try and get past Bushy. Fresh, by the way, moved himself up into 5th place on the soft tyre past Chaz. Also, it wasn't Chaz, it was Mr. Bean, who I was talking about before, who is about to be a lapped car. Not Chaz, sorry. And Alexis has managed to just take up 2 positions there. So, 1.2 is still the gap as they head round Maggots and Beckett's between Pool Diver and Zytix. Both of them practically no battery left. And they're about to start the final lap in 3 corners time. And the gap is still 1.2 between these 2 drivers. So Zytix really needs to give it everything in this final lap if he's going to have a chance at winning this race. This is the final lap now, and this is our race leader in the Williams. He's got 4.6 kilometers to go until a race win here at EXA in X3 at Silverstone. 1.1 is the gap. 1.2 is now the gap. 1 second is now the gap, but he's not going to have DRS to be able to launch an attack down the Wellington Straight between Zytix and Pool Diver as they head into Love Field. And would you look at that, Mr. Bean is very, very close to these 2. Who is a lapped car, but I don't think he's going to have the chance to give Zytix any form of DRS assistance as they head towards Cobb's Corner now. Zytix using every inch of power left in that battery, but it's not going to be enough to get him in DRS range. Is it? Is it going to be enough DRS ranges? Now it is going to be enough to get him in DRS range, so he has to get a really, really good run here through Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. DRS enabled. Everything he can now down this main straight, but I don't think it's going to be enough down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner. Pool Diver has 3 corners to go. That's 1 corner. Zytix running wide into Vale now. 2 corners left for the Williams driver. 0.4 separates them. Final corner now for Pool Diver as he takes the checkered flag and wins the British Grand Prix here on the final lap. And it was very close. It was very, very close. But Nick finishes 3rd behind Zytix, who was 0.4 of a second away from the win. It's a very close race there between our top 2, 3, and 4. In fact, Bushy actually finished 6th there behind Alexis. Not sure how that happened. So there you go. Our top 3: Pool Diver, Zytix, and Nick, followed by Fresh, Alexis, Bushy, Chaz, Frozzy, Spartans, and then the other Alfa Romeo, and then the other McLaren of Crazy, and then Williams of Alex, Mr. Bean, Charlie, and then Dark Fade, who was disqualified. So there we go. That is the end of the X3 race here tonight. So thank you all very much for watching today's stream. I hope you all enjoyed the race. If you did and you'd like to be a part of it, do !league, join the league Discord to have a chance at racing yourself. We race 5 days a week, from divisions for esports professionals and really, really fast drivers all the way to the noobs like myself down in X5. So hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all tomorrow for X1. And goodbye.